You're looking at the top of my sewing machine because today I'm going to show you how to refill a bobbin. So what we need to do is look at this section here. Now on top of modern machines you can see we have diagrams showing you the direction in which to place your thread to refill your bobbin. So we're going to set our thread on, and the way we always use our thread, if I always say to people, if they think of a hose wheel, when you unwind it and wind it back on, if you do it the wrong way, you usually get kinks in your hose. So it's the same with thread, because it's been spun on a machine and it's got twists. I like to sit the thread coming back from the behind. Now I know a lot of people would dispute that and say, well, it's never had an issue putting it on the other way, but you'll also see that Gutterman, for example, have the sticker at the top, not at the bottom, helping you to identify to pop your thread on the machine the correct way, so it will go in that way. Okay, so we've got our thread spindle on this machine. I've seen people struggle with this, but it just pops out and you can slide your thread onto there. So we're going to follow it around. Now you've got to use these guides. These are here for a good reason, and that's just to help you make sure you get your thread going in the right direction. So we'll go into the guide. There's a small spring there. Let's see if we can do a close-up for you. And then we have here a tension spring. If I lift it up, you can see there's a spring in there, and that just helps us make sure we get our thread being fed through at a good tension and at a good rate. So it tells me to crisscross it over. Not all machines tell you to do that, but I am going to. So crisscross it over, simply done. And when I pull that, I can feel a tension. So you can see it's not slack anymore on the back thread, and it goes along like that. Okay, so let's concentrate over here, actually filling in the bobbin. Now we have this egg shape guide. Now mine's loose, yours might not be, because I've just loosened that screw there. All that's holding that screw, so all that's holding is this guide. And if I plonk my bobbin on there, make sure it's on there securely, I push it along, I can move that around, and what that does is, if we go on a face shot, you can see the guide gets closer and further away, as it were, from the bobbin, and that helps me fill the bobbin reel up to the amount I need it for any particular project, so I don't overfill. Now if you're a beginner, don't worry about that, just let it fill to as much as you feel you might, and as you get more into sewing, you'll get a feel for how much thread you need to fill. Another thing I'd like to mention here is don't fill one thread on top of another on top of another. Now because I repair a lot of machines and I have a lot of machines donated, I see that commonly happen. Again, it's one of those things people dispute. They've never had an issue, but it's not good practice, so don't do it. For the sake of a few pounds, for £5 for 10 bobbins, it's worth it. You get happier sewing, better quality. While we're here, I'll also mention, now when we're going to fill this up, when it turns at a speed, you've got to make sure it turns regularly. If there's not turning regularly, underneath there's probably some problems inside your machine, and sometimes the rubber will wear out on some machine brands or makes. Okay, so I'm going to secure that back in, and I'm going to, because I use this machine with my beginner students, I'm going to leave it so that it's securely there, so that we can allow however much thread we need when we're sewing. Okay, so it's full to its maximum. Right, so going back to the thread, we have, if I pull back on there, let's build that tension back up on that top back thread. I'm going to start filling up the spool. Now the way we do this is we have holes in our spool, so we're going to go between these two flanges and into one of the holes there. Okay, and that's the top hole, and I'm going to use, hold on to that thread. So you should be able to see that now. Let's move my light over so we can get better lighting on there. So keep an eye on everything, make sure everything looks right, there's nothing tangled, got good tension, and I'm going to press onto my pedal to get the machine going. Now on some machines, when you move that across, this will disengage my needle, so my needle doesn't go up and down. It's not good for the machine, it's not good practice. So we need to disengage the needle. On other machines you'll find that there's either a button, you unscrew the middle screw there, there's something that will help you disengage the machine. Okay, so I'm going to hold on to that thread up at the top. I'm going to press the pedal. Be a good idea to switch the machine on. Now, can you see there? We have got an even amount of thread going along the bobbin. What I will do now is, I've got that thread at the top, I'm going to cut it there. If I continue on, it will start getting spun so much and get entangled. The other thing that might happen is I might lose grip of it and it gets caught into there, and then when we get to using the machine and get to this point where this is tangled in there, our sewing is going to get messed up. So just get rid of that and then just carry on. Now you should get an even amount of thread building up on there. Okay, don't slow up and slow down and speed up like this. Okay. Don't keep doing that. That again will affect your tension. You want a nice steady speed. Whatever speed you go at, go at fairly fast speed and go at a regular speed. So choose a speed. The kids love doing this, so I get them to speed up really fast. Put the foot down. Okay, another thing I want to show you here is, can you see there's an unevenness about that. Now on some machines it just can't be helped, it happens. It's just what happens. I can't explain that. So what I like to do is just hold on to it and just help distribute the thread evenly. Okay, it doesn't sit in the bobbin down in the well, down there, in a balanced state, so it affects your sewing again. Now these are all minor things that affect your sewing, but they all add up, so it's very important to consider these things. So making sure your thread coming from behind, making sure you're using that spring as your guide, that tension spring as your guide, and filling up your bobbin the correct way at a regular, even speed. Use this guide here to help you adjust how much you will need, because it will automatically stop for you at the full point, and that will help you get better even sewing.